Hello guys and welcome to a new video, and today we actually got to test out some of the raid. We got to test out the last boss, Sire. We got to test out this guy, Artificer on Heroic, semi-mythic, because there were a lot of mythic abilities that were not supposed to be there because we were testing Heroic. But generally speaking, the raid testing went pretty well. The two bosses that I did get to test were extremely fun in my opinion. They had a lot of type of healer damage, or healers needed to heal. I don't know if you were failing too many mechanics, I don't think so, but the amount of damage, the amount of healing that those bosses required was pretty insane. And again, of course, people know the fights, people do the fights more often, people fail less, there's less healing and things like that. But I really hope that Blizzard is going to stick with this whole concept of, hey, we need these fights, we need a lot of healers for these fights because there's a lot of damage happening. So I'm happy to see that. Generally speaking, the Artificer boss, I don't know if I'm saying that right, I was doing it on Resto Druid, was really fun. The amount of mechanics that you have in this, you can see it here right now, because I'm kind of running like a bot. You can see these little teleports that you put in, and this is basically the whole concept of the whole fight. You need to use these teleports to get away from bad mobs, to get away from bad mechanics. There's mechanics that suck you in and explode and things like that, and it's basically all around the concept of teleports. And these teleports are placed by the members, like two people in the group get these debuffs, they need to place them far apart and things like that. And this simple concept makes this boss insanely fun because there's a lot of mechanics that you can bypass using this. For example, if I go to one of the tries that I did where I actually got selected by one of the mobs as a druid, so right now I'm just tracking. Again, in terms of the druid testing that I did, I was running Night Fae. Keep in mind, beta has been wiped and you can't really choose covenants that freely, but during the raid testing you can choose a covenant, and I used Night Fae ability to convoke the spirits, where in over the 4 seconds you can shoot out like 16 druid abilities, and a lot of them are going to be heals because I am in, you know, resto spec and I'm in my normal form, so it's going to prioritize heals and things like that. So generally speaking, I was doing this burst healing potential to convoke the spirits with like a 2-minute cooldown or something along those lines, and it turned out to be pretty good. But generally speaking, so you can see here, I'm just tracking here. I'm going to use flourish right afterwards. You have to avoid obviously swirls. You see so look how fast this ad is. This ad is going to spawn as a green swirly. You can see there's green swirlies, there's yellow swirlies, and look how fast this ad is. I should have stayed close to a portal straight away, but of course this is early testing, so it really chases you down. There's no way I would have been able to escape. I used dash at this moment and I was able to teleport, and then you can see the ad is still chasing me, and if I need to, I can go to teleport again, and there isn't really a cooldown to using the teleports. Not like the Warlock gateways and things like that where you have a cooldown or when you can use it. So it seems like you can use it. You see the ad was still chasing me, but generally speaking, we can run through that again. It is pretty memey in terms of how fast everything happens, and the ads run really quick. So you need to make sure that these portals are really optimized. Again, I should have stayed beside it, and really fun, really honestly fun. And with the amount of damage that's happening throughout the fight, it makes healing really hard, and it makes organizing these teleporters really hard. Now, a lot of people are probably like, hey dude, MadSkillz, what is going on with the Holy Priest? It's doing so much healing. So if we go to the next boss, a lot of people during the stream were asking me about this, about how is it happening, and you can see that the Holy Priest was really pumping. The HPS was just insane. It was doubling, tripling the healing of the druids that were in the raid, but you can also see that it's Unholy Transfusion, Unholy Nova. So this is a single ability. This is a single ability from Necro Lord Covenant as a priest. It heals people, and it also applies this kind of leech. So it applies this debuff on an enemy mob. If friendly targets hit that mob, they get healed. And it was doing an insane amount of healing, as you can see here right now. It was just crazy, and it was really interesting to see. I'm not sure if it's going to stay up like this, but yeah, it was definitely a pumper Covenant ability at this point. Again, these two fights that we got to test out during that raid were very raw type of fights. There was a lot of burst healing needed. There was a lot of decaying type of healing requirement. And again, the Resto Druid would fit those really well. But you can see Holy Priest also, you know, if you play Holy Priest, you know what Holy Priest Mastery is like. It's basically HOTS. So Holy Priest was really pumping hard on this. Again, I was using Convoke the Spirit because I couldn't change it. So right now, if you look at the Sire boss, which is the last boss in this actual dungeon, it is a pretty interesting fight. Again, there's a lot of damage. You can see here there's a Burden of Sin kind of a debuff timer. So what happens, or like how many debuffs a person has. So what happens here, everyone in the raid gets this debuff and they need to cleanse it by standing in the frontal cone attack of the boss. So you actually have to stand in the frontal cone attack. It's going to cleanse you from this debuff, and then it's going to also spawn adds around it. And again, we were testing how many debuffs you can kind of survive. I think people were looking at like 5 as the absolute max or something along those lines, but keep in mind it's early testing. So you can see here the frontal attack, it happened, it took a bit of damage and it cleansed my stacks, and now there's going to be adds spawning. There is a lot of adds right now. And there's a lot of AoE capping. Blizzard is memeing us, guys. They're memeing us. Yeah, guys, everyone's getting an AoE cap. Let's spawn 40 adds. But either way, so these adds are going to pulse and do AoE damage. I'm tracking here. I'm going to go into Flourish as well. Again, there is a lot of damage here. And then after this, you're going to be kind of flipped up in the air. And you can't really do anything for like 3 seconds, and you can't die if you have too many stacks. So I'm putting all the HOTS down. Again, I got silenced, I got flipped up. And then right after this, I'm going to use my Night Fae ability that's going to teleport me. Oh, this is different one. I didn't use it this time. But there's a Night Fae ability that can teleport you in front as well to avoid the additional walking time. And then you also get another ability. You see these lines? These lines need to be soaked by certain people. I should be standing in there to help out the person and things like that. So there's a lot of kind of soaking and, you know, keeping your debuffs in check and optimizing how many times you're going to cleanse it. So after that, you kind of get this half of the room or a quarter of the room gets taken up by this blood that's gonna like instantly one-shot you. I'm pretty close to it. So this is kind of like the enrage mechanic or the DPS check, because the room eventually will fill up with everything. So you need to make sure that you're going to meet the DPS check to kill it in time. Again, you have to remember, Druids in general have Stampeding Roar, and Stampeding Roar was so great for a lot of this. In order to speed up everyone. Like again, we didn't have a whole lot of Resto Shamans or Shamans in general. So it was really fun to see Druid utility again kind of shining with Stampeding Roar. So what happened here? Again, we have the same kind of deal. You need to cleanse your debuffs. So you need to stand in front of the boss and get the cleanse happening. Right now, cleansing pain, and it's going to spawn adds again. And these adds, again, there's a lot of adds, you need to DPS them down. You can see here that the Holy Priest is really pumping. The amount of damage here is insane. I already used my Convoke the Spirit. I already used my track. I really don't have anything here except for the Tree of Life, and I'm trying to just huddle people. The playstyle of Resto Druid, like, I'll be honest with you, in terms of raid healing, has not really changed at all. A lot of the things with Resto Druid haven't really changed in terms of the gameplay. You do not get to use legendaries, you don't get to use conjurants because the beta has been wiped. You can only use the actual Covenant abilities, and that's about it in terms of, and then on top of that, you know, new talents and things like that. But generally speaking, you can see you need to kill the adds. Again, the room is getting closing in and things like that. You need to kill the boss in time. You need to kill the adds. You need to cleanse your dots. You need to see how many dots you're going to cleanse, because once you cleanse those dots, it's going to spawn adds, and those adds are going to do AoE damage. Are you going to be able to keep the AoE damage happening? And on top of that, you need to try and soak these lines, which again, I didn't do a great job during this try, because a lot of the people, you know, you die if you don't soak these adds or those lines as well. So there is, you know, what do you think about these fights in general? I think they were relatively interesting. I think the amount of AoE damage that's happening here is really also very fun. I'm really happy to see that the last couple of bosses are having, like you can see right now, I got the debuff here. I'm probably gonna go into bear if I'm not sure. I'm trying to get people in front of me as well so they can kind of soak it. So I do feel the amount of AoE damage happening is really fun. I do feel the Resto Druid hasn't really changed a whole lot. I didn't get to test out other healers, and this is basically the DPS check. The whole room is going to be full, and there's going to be nothing to be done here. My favorite boss so far, in terms of the testing, the minimal testing I did, Artificer felt really fun with the portals. I'm actually really excited to see that such a simple concept can be made into such an intricate mechanic that I'm sure, again, here I used my Nightfare ability to teleport. So this was pretty fun. It's kind of like a displacer beast if you really think about it. It does change with soulbinds. You can use it to get shadow meld as well, but that's, again, we don't have soulbinds right now available in the beta. So I like the Artificer a lot. I think the last boss, the couple of phases that we did get to see from Sire were interesting enough. I don't know if this is going to be my favorite yet. Again, early days, the mythic mechanics. We get to test out the mythic mechanics as well because they had it enabled by accident, which didn't allow you to stack like this. Or you would take way more damage if you stack really closely. So we'll see how that's gonna go ahead and how that's gonna feel. So overall, I'm excited about the raid. I think the raid is looking really, really fun. I like the AoE damage happening, and the mechanics so far have been pretty strong. Don't get too discouraged about the healing numbers. Like I mentioned, the Unholy Nova for Holy Priest was doing a whole lot of healing. We'll see if that's going to be like that, because it's kind of ridiculous if you look at the amount of healing the Holy Priest was able to do. I'm going to be testing more healers in the future. Let me know if you like this video. Let me know what healer I should test next. Thank you for watching this little overview about raiding, and I'll see you in my next guide.